Good evening and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. I'm Jenny Lee, and tonight I have with me Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
And Dana was unable to make it. She had a last-minute family issue that she needed to take care of this evening. But if she pops in, don't be surprised. So tonight, Lisa and I are going to cover the last town board meeting. The big public hearing that they had was on Delalio Sod Farms in Dix Hills. And are you familiar with this project, Lisa?
I'm just hearing about it now because
Okay.
of the board meeting. I didn't know anything about it before now.
Well, you know, they're having a public hearing. So that was on November 9th. I believe they leave enough time to where you can send an email or anything else voicing your opposition or your support for the project. But you can also watch the town board meetings, which is what I did today to get caught up. And apparently there must be a developer in my backyard because my dog's not a little kooky right now. What does she want to build? Does she want to change from R40 residences to R3M garden apartments? So what they're planning to do is, as I was listening to this, it's 86 units on 9 acres. So it breaks down to be about 9.56 per acre, which is still a lot less than the density that we've seen here in Huntington Station. And it's for a 55 and older community. I'll tell you what, though, I already saw that just going in, it's an hour and a half. It's worth it. We can link it for you in the comments to watch the whole thing because a lot of things did happen as far as new public hearings being scheduled that we'll also discuss at the end. Lisa, give me 1 second.
Okay. Finley needs to go outside.
Yeah, just open the door and let her out, so it's not a problem. So at 6 minutes and 26 seconds in, the developer starts to talk about all the community outreach that he's done. And it ends up really weird. Like, this is something you guys have to, like, go watch this thing, scroll past. He starts talking about one of the property owners that's surrounding where he is, that their son is an attorney and that it was a neighbor that's opposed to the project and that he allegedly, in his words, was trying to extort money from the developer. So this thing is already taking on a life of its own with it in regards to drama coming out of this. He gets cut off by Frank Petrone, who continues on with the next speaker. And then the next speaker, of course, is Nelson and Pope. And if you've watched any of these developments ever come to be, typically it's the same cast of characters. It's the same architect, or it's Breslin, or it's this one or that one. And it's always, you know, the connected people at Town Hall that get up and say, this is why we have to do this. So Nelson and Pope, they do a lot of renderings and stuff as well. So they speak after the developer. And he gives all, if anybody's curious, he gives all the unit breakdowns. He talks about the on-site sewage treatment plant. And he talks about the parking situation, setbacks. And so if anybody's looking at the actual logistics of the project, you're going to find that as the second speaker. So again, it's 86 units on 9 acres. There was the first couple up that opposed it was this really sweet elderly couple. They were just it was kind of sad seeing somebody who purchased a parcel of property under the impression that it would always be the same zoning that it was when it's a major investment in your life. And to have somebody come along and change that, especially at that stage in their life, you know, they're a little older, it's harder to start over again. So they start talking about how the density is so overwhelming at 9.56, but honestly, it really doesn't fit in with the character of that neighborhood at all. About 20 minutes in, 2 residents bring up the Horizons 2020 plan. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is.
The Horizons 2020 plan is a plan that we paid for in our taxes. and we paid for it to lay out how our town would be developed going into 2020 and beyond. And it breaks down, it's a really good read. They even talk about, how they'll treat civic groups, how we have to nurture them, and how the development should be over in this area. But what they've been doing for the last, since I've been paying attention, is they've been, even though we paid for this master plan, they've been going outside of the plan over and over and over again, which is why you're seeing spot zoning issues. This, now we need to change the zone. This, now we need to change the zone. This, over and over again. And most of it, if you look back, it's not in alignment with the Horizons 2020 plan. So this couple gets up and they're holding this up and pointing all of this out. So they were the next speaker. They talk about how the town is being violated, the taxpayers, over and over. One man goes on to list all the development, and he's just holding up the actual town master plan. This was really a town board meeting worth seeing for this part. Then this woman by the name of Sherry Vishnick. She is part of Ripley Manor Civic Association. I've never heard of Ripley Manor Civic Association in Dix Hills. And what I learned watching this is there are so many civic groups that we haven't heard from that have been around for a while. So she got up, in spite of what the developer said in the beginning, the great outreach he did. She is a 45-year resident, okay? She had never received a notification from the developer. She describes why she moved here to begin with, 45, almost 50 years ago, and what it has become. And at the rate she has seen, she talks about the rates of cancer increasing, the rates of asthma, and all those other things that come with the development that we've been talking about, and how it relates to the water and the sewage and all that. After her, about 31 minutes in, isn't this great how we can take an hour and a half of a town board meeting and literally break it down into 12 minutes for you?
Yeah, I love it.
This guy, Robert Salzer. Robert Salzer, he's a 21-year resident. He's also claiming that he had never received a notice. And he questions the credibility of a developer who would claim that any resident is trying to extort him. I mean, this whole thing it was like All My Children was back on TV. 34 minutes in, Gail Josper, a 48-year resident. She also never received notification and doesn't even know who the developer is. Because he claimed he did all sorts of outreach, right? She starts to plea basically to Mark and Tracy and starts holding up their campaign literature, the literature that said that they were protecting Huntington. And she's like, this is part of protecting Huntington. If you're not listening to the residents and you're not protecting our land use, you're not protecting us. So then this next woman, her name is Mrs. Schneider. She says, I loved her analogy. She was also very sweet. A lot of these people were, they were much older people that you would think would be in favor of a 55 and older, but the only two people for the project was the developer and Nelson Pope, who was hired to do all the markouts for it. Everybody who, out of all the people who got up and spoke, were opposed to the project. But her analogy was, this is like shoving 86 pounds of potatoes in a 9-pound bag. She said sack. She didn't say bag. She said sack. And her backyard borders the proposed development. And she had made a comment. She said, in fact, I could jump over the fence and be on their property. And Frank was like, let's be honest with each other. Neither you nor I are jumping that fence. I'm like, this guy.
Wow.
Yeah. it's a little, because she's elderly and I guess he's no longer a gymnast, so it would be difficult for either of them to jump the fence.
And that makes it okay.
Yeah. And then it was about 40.
What is that?
I know somebody's trying to video chat with me, but I can't. Probably somebody tried to hit the wrong button. So then this woman, Jean, her name was Jean, but she was a woman, claims that the developer spoke at House Beautiful civic groups. There's another civic group, right? And everyone seemed to have positive feelings at the civic group, but she claimed that the homeowners association is controlled, which this is the one that Susan Berlin used to be the president of, the House Beautiful one. So this woman, so at 40 minutes in, she gets up and she says the homeowners association is controlled, however, also states the traffic pattern on Dix Hills Road is a hazard, that you have to make a U-turn to get to and from the proposed development. Then Nancy Gamby speaks. And I have to, this is the one video I want to go ahead and I'm going to bring on and let you see. Nancy, if anybody watches any of these, she's been speaking out at town board meetings. I'd love to have her on as a guest with our show. I've done a lot of work with her in different areas politically. She's a doll, but she has been speaking out forever. And she basically pleads about how they're not listening. And what really stood out to me is how we don't matter. We just don't matter. And that zoning laws are our only protection against private property rights, and how the developers always seem to win. So I'm going to bring that video up. Let me get it on screen first. You know, I'm so fabulous at this now.
You are.
All right, so let me know if you have any. Can you see my screen?
Yep, it's there.
Okay, so this is when Nancy comes on.
Nancy.
Hi, my name is Nancy Gamby. I live in Comac. I'm so concerned with the density that we keep putting everywhere in Huntington. It doesn't matter what town it is. We have Dix Hills, Elwood, East Northport, Huntington is getting killed. Why is it that when property is zoned and a person buys that property, why don't they expect to build what they bought? All right, Elwood was 1 acre zoning. They have 256 properties. That doesn't include the townhouse. And yes, it was 5,500 signatures. Those signatures came from Republicans, Democrats, Independents, working families, Green parties, others, blanks, everybody across the board. And most of, it was almost every house, because I saw it. I did a random sampling of 10% of that and looked. And I looked them up. And that's why people are mad, because you don't listen to them. Why don't we matter? Why don't the residents that bought here, that live in Huntington, matter? They don't matter more than a developer that comes in that wants, they go for the highest density they can possibly get. And we're supposed to be grateful when we get 9, 10 times the density at a minimum that the land was zoned for. I don't get it. Why don't we matter to you guys? Why doesn't the zoning of our town matter? That's our only defense for private property rights in the country, is your local zoning. And we don't matter. And I don't know how I get up here at every high density project, and I'm consistent. You got to give that to me. All right? I fight for the people of that area and the people of our town to have a place where they bought into. You wanted them to come here. We're here. And you guys don't care. A developer always wins. They always win. They don't get their highest amount, but they always win. You tell me a time where they didn't win. Whether they moved, they might have moved to a different location, but you used TDR, taken the Sweet Hollow Farm and made it a park, but you dumped the density over in Melville. to way higher. I think that was 22.2 units per acre, and supposedly town code is 14.5. But just because that's the limit doesn't mean every property is that limit. We have 1 acre zoning, half acre zoning. I mean, we could see a 1 acre zone that asks for third of an acre zoning. That would at least be reasonable. But it's always more. It's always more, and we never, ever win. We are never heard. It doesn't matter how many signatures we get, how much signs we put out, nothing.
Thank you.
I'm just very frustrated.
And how he just dismisses people. It just makes me want to puke. I mean, and she doesn't even go up, Nancy doesn't even go up there with a prepared speech that she took days to write. She doesn't go up there with any prompt cards or whatever. She just speaks from the heart.
That's right. She hit the nail on the head. The developers always win. They may cull it down a little, but they always win. They always, no matter what. And the town council people are supposed to be protecting us from developers, not fighting us on it. And it's just
Like she said, I've got so many, my questions are her questions. I mean, I have so many questions that you hear come from her heart. You know, why don't we matter? Why doesn't anything we do matter? You know,
right.
like
I mean, you think about the amount of petitions, right? Elwood was the most recent one, but you know, and I was part of getting over 5,000 signatures in opposition to Avalon Bay. So we add them together, two different neighborhoods. It's 10,000 because they were two very different neighborhoods. 10,000 people who said we don't want these two projects, and they still put them through no matter what.
Yes, nobody met. They don't
right.
matter.
So then, so after. She was just so heartfelt. I wanted to.
No, I know that was
her. So after her,
speaks for so many of us.
Right, she does. She speaks for, and I got to tell you, she is a true diehard. She has been thick or thin. Nancy's been there. Nancy's been there.
She's right there, and I don't make too many of them, and she's always there.
When I gave up for a year, she was still going because I fell into my little black hole for a while. All right. So after Nancy spoke, Lisa Bloomstein, she said she was from the North Dix Hills Civic Association. I've never heard of them either, but she was also in opposition to the project. She raised a great point that the residents who go to the building department, you go to the building department and you can't just do what you want, you know, but developers can. It's bizarro land. Like if you as a homeowner have even the slightest variance on your house, they're going to drag you through the coals, fine you and everything else. Meanwhile, developers are given the key to the city, and it's very backwards. So the rules are different for different people, and they're not equally applied across the board. Remember, they're land trustees. What that means is they're supposed to be watching it for us. No. So by the end of the hearing, 12 residents that were directly impacted that represented about 4 different civic groups, okay, were all opposed, and the whole hearing ends at 53 minutes. Okay. The second hearing was about changing a parking law due to some overflow parking issues in Dix Hills on Vanderbilt Parkway. And the third hearing was also in relation to amending parking laws for no parking signs at High School East, because they're saying the kids are parking on Vanderbilt Parkway and it's overflowing into their neighborhoods. So they're having a parking issue now. I wonder why. Why are we having a parking issue when we keep adding more people?
You mean more students means more families, which means more, you know, yeah, okay.
So, of course, we're having a parking issue. So the final hearing, and then they slipped into a final hearing for the Community Development Agency. So because they also represent the CDA, they have to close the meeting and then open another meeting and conduct it's just bizarro land. Like, why do we have a Community Development Agency when we have a master planner? Like, how many people How many agencies does it take? Does that even make sense to you? Like, how many agencies does it take to do the job of, why do you have a community development agency if you have an outside developer like Source the Station or Renaissance? Why do we have these other 3 layers of government doing the job that we contracted somebody else to do, that they're going to make a profit from our town anyways on?
Exactly. I was going to ask that question. I don't understand it.
It's just crazy.
Everybody's supposed to understand it.
It's
like, just for instance, like, okay, we have the town board meetings.
Right.
Most people know that they're once a month, sometimes at night, sometimes during the day, right? To switch it up a little bit. If you wanted to put an extension on your deck in your backyard, you know, you have to go through town channels, and you have to pay to let everybody in your entire neighborhood know that the Lavertus want to add something to
right.
your home.
Right.
So why don't, when
I
you
want a pool. I want a pool. If I want a pool, I have to tell, right?
Everybody. You have to air out your sheets outside. But how come when these developers come, you know, like this driving force comes to your town, they want to basically destroy it, in so many words, to line their pockets of them and their cronies? Why don't they have to mail everybody a letter saying, hey, look, guys, this is what we're doing in your neighborhood?
Oh, they do. But they do. And the developer,
like that.
That was the thing. In the first hearing, if you go back to 6 minutes with my notes,
he said that everybody is
and that everybody got up and said no, he didn't. So you have to ask yourself, where is the follow through in that? Who's even responsible for it? It seems to me they give these developers carte blanche in this town. There's nobody checking on and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Is that a law? Is it written somewhere? Can the regular person go look that up, that they have carte blanche to do whatever they want?
Well, that's what it seems like. And there was a couple of people who actually spoke and said, we're being told it doesn't matter. The developer's going to get whatever they want anyways. I'm telling you, this was one worth just at least skimming through.
But that's full duty. How can we? No, we don't matter. How can we make ourselves matter?
I don't know. I mean, when you think about
burn our bonds in the street, what do we have to do?
What they're doing now just isn't working. I mean, what I see that's going on, it's ridiculous how people think that they are making a difference. But we'll get to that further down from So for the community development hearing, no one spoke on the portion. In fact, I'm still not even clear what that was. Nothing was made clear about what the 4th year annual plan was, but they closed the meeting and went on to the public portion. And during the public portion, you can come out and you can speak about anything. It doesn't matter. I can come on and say, you know, Susan, I've never liked your shoes. It doesn't matter. You can say anything you want. It doesn't have to be on the agenda, but you still get your 3 minutes. Okay. So this guy named Anthony Izzo, so we're about an hour and 12 minutes in now, okay? This guy, Anthony Izzo from the Fort Salonga Civic Group Association. Now, this one I know I've heard of. This one is one of the ones that the United Civics of Huntington claims to have this one represented with them. So he got up and he is opposing the 98 condos on the golf course at Fort Salonga. He states that he started the Fort Salonga Civic Group Association and joined the United Civics of Huntington, that he claims has been fighting, that the United Civics of Huntington has been fighting the high density in Huntington. So when this came up, I tell you, I had to take pause because I'm watching a public hearing for a density project that all these civic groups that I've never heard of before are opposing, but I don't see the one civic group who's claiming to speak for all these other civic groups speaking out about it. Like, out of all the people I went through, neither Greater Huntington Civic Group nor the United Civics spoke out on this public hearing. So, I mean, I get that this guy, Anthony Izzo, was still, I get that this guy, my mother is inboxing me, and I need her to stop, please. I love you, Mom. Yes, my hair looks great tonight. Thank you, but you're distracting me right now. Okay. She's so cute, though. She was like, your hair looks great tonight. I love my
told you
mom.
that too.
I love my mom. Thank you, Mommy. I appreciate it. Okay, so anyways, this whole thing just struck me as odd because here he is saying that, you know, I joined this group because they fought the high density, and here's this public hearing that's on the same night, and there's no one representing it.
Mhm.
And I know that you went to a meeting, and we're going to wrap this part of it up so that you can talk about what happened there. So Nancy Gamby came on again at 1 hour and 19 minutes, and she speaks about the parking variances and how they have been aggravating the situations that they have been talking about, which is what I was saying with the parking. And she brought that up again during public portion. Afterwards, Tracy got the funding for for the spray park for the police officer. Although I'm happy for Elwood, I also recognize that that was one of those things, like, I think she felt really guilty or whatever that was. And, you know, although I appreciate they got a spray park, that spray park idea was born in Huntington Station. And I'm probably not going to stop complaining about it until we get one here, because we were the ones who were promised it. And it was given away to them because the Elwood situation with the Oak Tree Dairy Project. And I think that that's shameful. They took what we needed over here for revitalization, which is great. I think, you know, I don't think we need one. I think we should be able to do several. It's a no-brainer. They're not a lot of money. Okay. Another thing that came up that they voted on that I thought was noteworthy was that they waived the fees for parking for the holiday season. Yippee, thank you. They shouldn't be charging us to begin with. You want to charge people who are from out of town, but the residents should all have a parking pass. And if I ever run for public office, I'm running on that.
A free spot. Where are we supposed to find one? Whatever, thanks.
That, you know, yeah, you'll have free parking, but you can't find it. They did schedule when they went through with everything, and they scheduled a lot of public hearings on July 13th, a lot. One of them's for term limits, which
Oh, you mean December 13th?
really struck me as bizarre because it's, you get it, right, Lisa? Like,
Yeah, you said July. It's December 13th.
I said July. I'm
You
sorry.
had July in your brain. What a
I
park,
know.
July.
Oh, yeah. My word association brain. Sometimes I pick that up. So yes, no, December 13th, next month, they scheduled a ton of public hearings, and one of them mostly for the parking issues in Dix Hills. So they're going to have hearings on that. But on term limits, and that just was crazy to me because the people who are on the current board never wanted term limits. It's been put before them a few times and they never wanted them. The people who were just elected to replace some of these people ran on term limits. So I wonder why they're having the public hearing in December when none of these people get, the new board doesn't take, they're not inaugurated until January. Does that make sense to you? Like, they're just, like, Chad Lupernacci is supervisor-elect. He hasn't been sworn into office yet, and he hasn't taken the oath of office. And neither have any of the other new town board members. So technically, they can't legally vote or decide on anything. So anything that happens until they take office. Right. So what's up with term limits being on?
That's a great point. I didn't even think of it that way. They're not even, they're still the elect. They didn't even get in yet.
Right.
So what does this mean?
So why would they put this out for a public hearing in December? Are they looking to kill it before it happens? Or, like, I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right with that. It just seems weird to me.
It does. I wouldn't trust it.
So there was a secondary town board meeting. They called a special meeting on November 20th. Did you even hear about that one?
I heard about it, but I
I-
didn't go. I was working.
I saw it when I was reviewing all the video and stuff. It was a special meeting. It was held to adopt the operating budget for 2018. Berland was absent. She wasn't even there for the vote. There was 4 resolutions. They were all budget related, except for, well, 2 were budget related, and the other 2 were related to the sewer district for Huntington and the sewer district for Centerport in regards to assessment rolls. Eugene Cook opposed every single one of them.
Really?
Garland wasn't there, so she couldn't vote. But the other 3 voted yes across the board to all 4 of the resolutions that were up.
Wow.
Crazy. And that was it for the town board meeting. Thank you.
They do special meetings with all these. They seem a little worried, or is that just my opinion? Or it
I don't know.
seems
I
like
was
they're worried about something. They got stuff up their sleeves. I don't know. I don't trust them.
I don't either. I don't either. I wonder if they'll vote on a whole bunch of stuff and then Susan steps down at the end of the December meeting, so that leaves them to appoint Steve Stern, like I was saying, or that could just be a rumor. Who knows? Maybe somebody's filling my head with silly ideas also. Who
There's a lot of
knows?
silly ideas going on out there, and I don't
There-
understand.
I don't put anything
There's a
past
bunch of
them
them.
either.
No, just like the developers, you can't put anything past them because they can do whatever they want to, and I don't understand why.
I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, so want to talk about your meeting?
Yeah. Actually,
me-
one question I wrote down. There's just one question I have. I don't know if you have the answer to it, but maybe somebody does. I'd like to know where it's written or where it's stated, or I don't know where I'm going with this really, but the zone changes. So all I ever hear today is this zoning is changing, this zone's changing, that zone's changing, zones like a puzzle. It's like a board game. How is that allowed to happen? I don't understand. You know, I'm not a stupid person, but
And then once one project's in,
why this is
they go,
happening?
well, you can't say no to this. We've already set precedent. I mean, look at the constant development going on in the village. Constant.
I know, but whenever you hear about the development, you always hear the same thing. Zone changing. They're changing the zone. They're changing the zone to this. How do you just change a zone?
Well, they have a public hearing and then they vote on it. And if they have 3 votes, they change the zone. And then the people who usually oppose it, they form a civic group and they raise money for an attorney to file an Article 78, which is you can get them for illegal spot zoning, and it doesn't matter because all the judges that are ruling on all this, we've already seen what happens in the elections
Well, in those pockets.
and who they are, so they get favorable rulings on what they want, and then the developers pad their election campaigns, and on and on and on it goes while they're selling our town out.
Really is such a tangled web, isn't it? It
Yeah.
really, really is.
It's a shame.
Well, speaking about civics,
Okay, wait, let me get to, I'll tell everybody where you went. It was over here, right? You went to,
the greater
was the line.
it wasn't even.
was it Greater? I thought it was Civics. I get so confused.
No, it was the Greater Huntington Civic Group meeting.
They gotta figure out who they are.
I kind of heard Civics United thrown in there as well, like all the other civic groups that
Wait, that's the wrong
are
one.
out there.
Greater Huntington Civic Group, blah, 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 blah. They, well, so, okay, here. Greater Huntington Civic Group.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
The Lonely Tarp. Mm.
Nobody's featured.
I love this. You know, he keeps this up here, pinned. The GHCG has a former member posting from an unauthorized, that's me, by the way. Therefore, we're starting over. I'm not a former member. I'm the founding mother. But anyways, so you went to, and I fully admit everything I've done there. So, okay, this was it. November 21st?
Yeah.
You went to the Harbor Fields Public Library in Green Lawn for a meeting, and this was the meeting. So go ahead.
Well, as you can see, I mean, that's not, when you have that many, look at the list of Elwood Taxpayer Association, Huntington Matters, Preserving Elwood Now, Fort Salonga Property Owners Association, Green Lawn Civic Association, and Greater Huntington Civic Group. Now, with all of those groups, you should have standing room only. It makes me wonder where everybody is. Is that?
It's also the usual suspects. Like, I know everybody in, like, that's Matt Harris. That's Gerard. That's Nancy, who was just at the that's you. And that's Jim Cameron, Rob Rockline, Sue. She's the one that kicked me out of the civic group. But it's the same old. You're singing to the choir. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Couple of people that showed up representing those groups had a few words. That's June talking from Huntington Matters. She had a few words, good words, you know, good message to people to get out and, you know, do more, join the fight. The biggest part of the night that I took away that was really just memorable, actually, was when the two people from the Fort Salonga Civic Group got up to speak about the Heartland Project. And there was a lot of discussion about the Heartland Project. And it was really heartfelt and sad. I left there.
4 towns, right?
Really sad. 4 towns. I'm sorry. That's it. Yes. And there is a meeting coming up the 29th. And I think that I think that more people really need to be there, find out what the heck is going on. Since the first part of that agenda has already passed. And I think the first part that's passed is what, 3,000 apartments already?
You know what's interesting to me? So, like, I named all these other civic groups, right?
Yeah.
And that was a public hearing for something that hasn't been approved yet. Now we have, okay, right? So that was the meeting they had on, it hasn't been approved. That was the public hearing, all these different civic groups. Now you're seeing, why are they chasing a project that's already been approved? Like, it's already,
that's
you're
what I was thinking.
Completely ineffective. Like, what are you doing?
I felt like more of a meeting to let us know what is happening, not that there's a fight. You can't do anything. They've already done it. They've already done the first phase.
Right, exactly.
That's the first phase.
All you could do is get together and lament at this point. That's
want to fight the second phase. I don't really think that's possible, unfortunately. How are you going to stop a second phase? So what's the point? I don't need to be a negative.
Nancy Gamby has also been fighting that project.
Yes, she has.
From the beginning.
She's been at every meeting.
Very beginning. And now you have a civic group come in, like, I don't know what to call them anymore. The one that Steven's running. So now they're latching, oh, here's another civic group. Let me latch onto that civic group so that I look even bigger. Dude, you have 7 civic groups in one building and you had 30 people there. And they're all from, you're singing to the choir. How, and you're chasing a project that's already been approved to fight it. You're expelling your energy, you're like spinning your wheels. And you had no representation at the public hearing that was actually happening that you should have spoken out at. That has like 4 civics. There's 4. You would think you would want to get more civic groups under your umbrella. You know what I mean?
Didn't happen.
I'm actually shocked to find out how many different civic groups are out there. There's so many. It's like everybody has their own.
What are they doing?
Not much.
Developers that are coming and just sweeping the rug and the dirt right out of your feet, right out from under you. What's a civic group to do? Whether there's 20 or 30 or 40 of them, what are they all about? What are they supposed to do?
Well,
I don't get it.
It's almost
concept, but I don't get it.
they're fighting a war with bayonets against tanks. Like they're still
Exactly.
using the same old tactics against and fighting the same war in the same way, and they're wondering why they keep losing. And I say that more about with what Steven's doing. I think he's like ruining each area should have their own, and it should be made up of the people who live there.
Yeah.
The umbrella thing is such bullshit. It's almost like you want everybody to do the work while you sit up here and say, and I'm speaking for you now. And it's like perverting the system. It's painful. It's painful to watch. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think he's sworn out his welcome so much. I don't see anything effective coming out.
Well, a couple of people had some nice words. I was impressed by what June said, but June just said, she just spoke for some people in the community about, getting out and trying to work harder, trying to get out there and represent.
She's talking to people who are out there. She's talking to people who have been in the fight. These are people who were fighting long before June. And you want to tell them, oh, let's come out. Look at the room. Let's go back to the room again and look at these people. When you think about
showing up, the people aren't showing up. Just like those people didn't come out to vote. How many people didn't come out to vote? Those are the people that should be there. Those are the blowhards that should be at these meetings. And they're not. They're the ones that should be at town hall. And they're not.
Let's see. Okay, so Nancy Gamby, she speaks for herself. She was opposing Heartland before this Four-Town Civic started posting their meetings, okay? Gerard, I met Stephen and Gerard the same time. I've known Gerard, and he fights a good fight. I've known Gerard as long as I have known Stephen. Matt Harris, same. You know what I mean? He's been around forever doing his own thing. There's you again. You're always you've been dragged around the same thing as well. Rob Rockline back there. I mean, he came into town, he started fighting the good fight. And I think he just wants to make a difference, and he just trying to find any of these civic groups that's going to do it. So he's in it with that because he's genuinely a really good guy. Sue, I don't know what she does. Do you even know her? Like, I know her, but really? No. And then Jim, which civic group are you leading, Jim? He seems to have a position on everything.
He's the vice president now of Greater Huntington Civic Group.
He's the
vice president.
Is that what he said at this meeting? Because every different meeting he has a different position with a different civic group.
He's the vice president now. And he spoke. He's the vice president. Yep.
How much credibility do they have?
Those two people on the end next to that lady.
Were the new people from Four Towns, right?
Yes, they were wonderful.
All right, so they're the new people. So pretty much, I mean, out of all these people, where's the new engaged crowd of people that you're telling to come out and get involved? They're all involved. In fact, they've been involved. Look how long they've been involved. Look at this. There's no youth here. There's nothing energizing.
No, that's true.
And without that, you're not going to make a difference at all.
I agree. It's a damn shame. It really is.
Where's my stop sharing button? Okay. It is, and it's a shame. I think that's what hurts the most, is to say, hey, there's this real need here where we really need to have a good and solid voice. And all I see is exploitation, ineffectiveness. They're not winning. There's no winning happening. None. Zero.
How do we get a younger crowd? How do we get a younger, new fighting crowd before they're forced off this island?
Or a crowd that when you're talking to the crowd and saying, hey, get involved, know that these are the people who have been involved. They're battle weary. That's a battle weary crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you get fresh blood to come? How do you get people to come out and vote? What do you do?
Oh, our voting,
pathetic.
It's so
pathetic.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting, pathetic, and a whole bunch of other words I can say that I can't say. What are we supposed to do? How can we get that message out there?
Well, I mean, we just
clearly get out and vote doesn't help. What do you have to do? Bring
You know,
lollipops?
most people don't come out and vote for something. They come out and vote against something. And you have to get them when they are engaged and be passionate. Like, you know, that's the phenomenon there is it's mostly just showing up at the polls. I think that was a big thing that happened here in Huntington. We were the phenomenon. We were the phenomenon in in Suffolk County. We were the only town that elected Republicans out of Suffolk.
Yeah.
It's the numbers just look strange, and it's almost like the Democrats couldn't be bothered to show up. That's what that's what the numbers look like to me.
Well, the Democrats have always had it in the bag, no matter what. So people just said, they're going to win. Doesn't matter. We don't need to show up.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are fighting for a new direction. So, can I say what some nasty hag said about
we have such a colorful local group of people in this town. But yes, this person who you're referring to often says very distasteful things. And for me to say that, but she has me blocked, so I'm glad I don't see her things anymore.
She's concerned at the next board meeting that the Republican elect are going to have trouble finding the bathroom. This is what she's concerned about. Yeah. Makes you wonder,
Yeah.
Piece of bathroom.
And it's just getting worse and worse. Like I was on a 10-day hiatus. I had family here for Thanksgiving for the holidays, and it was actually really nice to step out of the matrix for a little while and go into this just love cocoon of family.
Well deserved.
But I hadn't read some of the local blogs like I normally do. I get up, I check, I like see what's going on, and I came back and I looked at it today trying to get prepared for tonight's show, and it's so nasty. It's so nasty. I got to tell you, like I still run Parents of Huntington on Facebook, and I'm just so happy. It's so nice and quiet. Nobody's fighting. You can't post anything on that other page without it turning into you're a racist, I'm not a racist, you're evil, you voted for Trump, you didn't, you're awful, you're bizarro. It's a pylon, and it's all day. Like, I'm like, oh, I am so glad. There's a piece of me that was like mad, like I was banned from the page. And I got to tell you, I don't know, maybe I finally snapped out of it. I'm so glad, I'm no longer the administrator of that page. I would be on medication if I had to deal with the nonsense that's on that page. But B, like, that I'm not there. I'm kind of glad I'm not having to engage with that level of nastiness with the people of our town. It's so... And I got to tell you, it's painful because I can read it. I can't reply. I can't anything. I went back and I looked today. I'm like, I don't know why I even complained that I'm not allowed here. This place is disgusting.
You get to walk away, Jenny. You get to walk away.
It's unbelievable. Like, you did me a favor. Thank you. Oh, my Lord.
There was a lady that posted something yesterday. There was a lady that just posted an innocent comment. It was, I guess it was a while after the parade that they had, right? And this lady just posted just a general comment, like, she hears fire trucks screaming up and down New York Avenue, basically concerned, is everything okay? And the comments that just come after this woman, are you kidding me? Right? It's the parade, blah, 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 blah. Just nastier as they go. And it's like, seriously, people, how pathetic are you? She just asked a freaking question. You can't answer her and move on?
Nobody knows how to treat each other with civility anymore.
The political nasty
contest
all the time.
It's like a contest, like who can be the rudest, who can come up with the best fancy one-liner or meme to insult this person. It's awful.
political nastiness is to be expected. I get it. Whatever, you say something about the person you don't like and her shoes, and all of a sudden there's those, little operatives that are posting your public information, and they think they know where you work. Whatever.
Shoes and us, we go way back. So I'm allowed to comment. That's my people.
Right. But the nastiness, it continues. You think it's going to all end after the election? No.
It got worse.
Same.
It did. It got worse.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Sure did. I know.
I don't know, Lisa. It makes you, like you say, well, what can we do? Or what makes you wonder, like, why do we even fight for that?
Right.
Like, look,
why do you even bother? Like most people sitting
bother?
home on their computers, why do you bother? The developers are going to do whatever the hell they want. Frank Petrone's going to do whatever the hell he wants. He's going to go out with a bang. You know that. Chad's fresh blood in that seat. You just hope and pray he's going to do the best that he can do.
And Frank did state that he wasn't moving to Florida, which I thought was pretty interesting. He said it. I forgot who, somebody wrote it on there, but he had said, no, I'm actually going to be staying in the area.
He's going to be staying on the golf course, the Hamlet, where he lives. Is that where he lives? The Hamlet, right? Is that what it's called?
You think he's going to resist? Like, I'm going to resist. Like, is he going to not go away and start making commentary on everything that Chad does and tell everybody how awful it is? Or do you think he's really going to give him a chance?
Do you think he's going to write a book like Hillary?
Crazy. He's been around a long time. He came to us from the Ronald Reagan administration. He was FEMA under.
I was a teenager, and every election up until now, it was always the same name at the voting booth, like Castro. It was all, and Spoda. Yeah. Tom Spoda. You want to make a mistake, Dom. It was always the same name at the voting poll, and it was just kind of pathetic. And being young and naive and not knowing a damn thing about politics back then, it was like, oh, you have to vote for that person because look, they're still around. They have to be great. You have to vote for that person.
The devil you know versus the devil you don't know. But I feel like we've definitely we're losing an evil villain in our little fairy tales. So
it's so far.
Interesting to see what we get.
I know.
Very interesting. And I don't know. I think like next month and the month after with the town board meetings, I think we're kind of like on a, I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen before the new board is sworn in. I'm waiting for the.
It's going to be huge.
My speculation is Susan. My speculation is Susan stepping down. I don't know how solid that is, but
But then who would take her place? What is with all that? She didn't even. It's like she didn't even try to win that spot, but yet she did. Shockingly,
right?
And her judge husband had a lot to do with it.
Her spot would make sense now, doesn't it? Because he needed the other spot. So that's what they do. They just move these little politicians around like little chess pieces, and oh, well, you take my spot, and I'll take yours, and then I'm going to endorse this one. You cross endorse this one, and they're playing this chess game all around us.
You hold my spot, and there'll be something good for you at the end of the rainbow. Yeah, it's crazy. You'll have something nice in your stocking.
Little white envelope. I'll get your husband a judgeship.
And a new pair of shoes.
Pair of shoes.
And a new pole for your room.
Oh my God, you didn't. Oh,
what else are you going to wear those shoes? What else are you going to wear
the North Pole. She went the North Pole. It's fine.
The North Pole is almost Christmas.
You're a PG rated show.
I was talking about the North Pole. What do you think?
Oh, you know what I forgot? I wanted to do. Oh, we forgot to do we don't really have that many people here tonight. So, because we're getting ready to close everything. This week, because we started spotlighting some of our favorite local places to go. And this is Danny's Deli in Huntington Station on Depot Road. They have an excellent hot bar, really good stuff. And it's reasonably priced, so they're really good for lunch. I enjoyed their food every so often when I'm at work. I need
So
something.
where is it? Where is that? What was it?
197 Depot Road in Huntington Station, Danny's Deli.
Okay. I'll have to go try that out.
Yeah, no, they're a nice restaurant. Well,
Um,
deli. They're a deli.
I don't have the address. I forgot the address, but go check out The Spot. It's right next to the Huntington Station Library.
The Spot.
The Spot. That's what it's called. The Spot. The food is just, it's too much to list. Their food, shakes, soups. They have a huge variety. It's awesome. It's right on Jericho Turnpike, right next to the Huntington Station Post Office. It's called The Spot. It's awesome. You got to go check it out.
Okay.
You go to Huntington Matters page, someone posted a coupon, which expires December 15th. So go take that coupon, 10% off your order. Go check it out.
You wanted to talk about Yes before we go, because we only have a couple more minutes.
The League of Yes.
The League of Yes.
The League of Yes, they have two fields. They have a field in Suffolk County out east, and they have a field in Nassau County at Eisenhower Park. It is a organization, baseball organization for the disabled, disabilities, children with disabilities, all kinds of disabilities. You can check out their page on Facebook called League of Yes, League of Yes. And this Saturday coming up, Tuesday the 2nd, December 2nd, there is called a SantaCon. It's a 5K run, walk, and roll, right? Kids, you know, the kids with the disabilities, their families, they all come out. It's awesome. It's from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Go to the Facebook page. You'll get the link. It's $25 per person to sign up. It's a fundraiser. It's an amazing cause. It's a lot of fun. And during the regular season, you come out to the field. It's a double header every Saturday morning. The kids play a game, 2 baseball games. If you don't know what it's about, please visit the Facebook page. It's just so awesome. They're always looking for players. They're always looking for more people to come down. And if you're not a child with disabilities, you can come down and help. You'll be called a buddy. Yeah, you'll be a T-shirt. And you're a buddy. You get assigned to a child, and you help them either walk around the bases or help with the wheelchair around the bases, or just be a companion for that time. And it gives it's such a great opportunity. It gives the parents a little bit of a break so they can sit in the stands and just relax while the buddy is out helping their child. It's great. I can't say enough things about it. I get emotional. It's really awesome.
Be a buddy, not a bully.
Be a buddy, not a bully. I like that.
Yeah. So.
But it's awesome. And even if you can't come, donate to them. You know, they always need money to help offset the cost of the fields. You know, the field times, equipment, uniforms. We have food in between the doubleheader games. So anything that you can donate to them will help. League of Yes. Awesome.
League of Yes. Okay. All right, we're getting back into the grind of things. So we'll be coming to you every Tuesday at 9:45 on our YouTube channel. If you want to get updated, you could just subscribe to Be the Media Huntington so that you get a little alert on your phone anytime we go live. If not, just click like on our Facebook page, and we usually put the links up there. You can come back and get caught up on any of the episodes that you like. If not, we'll be here every Tuesday talking about all things local in Huntington. So I hope everyone enjoyed this evening's Huntington View. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.